Welcome to another video. To this video, we're going to continue working on the Coyote Swap Challenger, getting the Holley Terminator X wired up so we can get closer to getting this thing started. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
Alright, so a couple things from when I left off the other video. I did buy a new hose here with the T because the old one was broken. So I got this installed. I also got power by the hour heater adapters, I guess, or heater fittings. So this one just has a barb. You can do 5/8 or 3/4, and then this other one is 5/8. So what this does is it eliminates the coolant reservoir that is normally on the Mustangs. Since I'm gonna do a radiator that has a radiator cap right on it, I don't need that reservoir here, so it gets rid of that T that goes here. I also bought their little bleeder screw that instead of the tube that also goes to that reservoir, you have a bleeder screw so you can bleed the coolant here. So I got that installed, put new O-ring on the outlet, an O-ring on this one as well, put a new one in there. So this is in there, good. I have Junior here with me today, so he's gonna probably start working on the intake, so that way we can figure out where this wire is gonna go. I did get somewhere in here, I did get the oil pressure sensors for the Holley Terminator, and then I also got the fittings for the fuel. So I'm gonna figure that out, start putting that on there. The other thing I did is, this is like a emissions, I don't know, I think it's like a perch solenoid. And so the power by the hour does sell little, kind of like a cap here. And they also sell one for this here, which is also for, actually that's for this. I'm thinking I'm just gonna do like a breather on each side and we call it even. So what I did is I destroyed that little sensor somewhat. I just put some plastic epoxy on there so there's no vacuum leak or anything. This was broken already, so I just put some washers here, put some epoxy, so this should go right in there. I'll leave that O-ring so it goes in there, but I'm just gonna tighten that down so that way there's not a, like the piece for the hose coming out. And then this other one, I did the same thing, so I went ahead and cut it, put some plastic epoxy, and that's just gonna sit in there to cover that pipe. So I don't need those, so that's just that way less thing on the way. I also took this hose, which is where I believe the emissions tube comes in. The hose was bolted on top, which is this hose up here. And so I just capped it with the vacuum plug. That's probably gonna stay that way. And I think that's it as far as anything that I've done since the video. So we're gonna jump in. I got the radiator out. Radiator hoses are here as well. Some fittings for the backing line on the back. So we're gonna get started on that. So I'll keep working on the wiring. Junior's gonna work on the intake, and then we'll check back here in just a moment to see what progress we made. All right, so making some progress here. I went ahead and installed the oil pressure sensor. So this wire that's gonna go down there is gonna go around here. So I have some zip ties that have the Christmas tree things. I'll probably, you know, put it here down to the valve cover. This is, Junior went ahead and put the intake. We're probably gonna leave it on that side because it seems like there's a little bit more room on that side than this side. Plus there's gonna be alternator and stuff here. I have my transmission lines on this side. So that's probably gonna be the best thing. So I will probably just kind of move this over to that side. This is gonna be not there no more. So that harness is gonna be there, so we can plug in the sensor here. Now, I think we're probably just gonna let it kind of go across right there. Maybe put it.
As long as the belt doesn't.
I don't want to put it underneath the intake because this harness is part of the other harness. If I need to, well, I guess I can pull it out. We'll see. I might throw it under the intake, same as the throttle body. That way it comes out right here. We go underneath, plug the master flow sensor like this. So that would probably make it look nicer than on top, because I do have this other piece here, which, you know, just go underneath. So that's that. I went ahead and hooked up the vacuum lines. So got the line here for the booster, so that's all connected. And then I have the line going inside for the Holley map sensor. I do have my fuel fittings all in here. I will say this fuel rail to 6AN adapter I got this from Jegs. And I don't know if maybe I got the wrong one. I just looked up, you know, 3/8 fuel line to 6AN, but it didn't want to fit on there. So as it is right now, I had to force it in, so the O-rings got a little bit shaved, and it finally went in because it wouldn't really go in. But this little plastic clip that holds it in there, it doesn't really clip out. So as it is, I could just pull it out. So I order a new fitting. That'll be here tomorrow. Hopefully that one works better. It's the one that has threaded on the end. Or maybe I'll buy a new clip that actually has like some tension to it. This one just seemed like it wasn't. It was even connected at the bottom where it's supposed to open up, so it just didn't look like it was built well. Connected the fuel line here. Fuel hose. I still need to tighten this one up, but since I gotta change that fitting. And then the fuel pressure sensor, I think I did buy a little elbow to put it going backwards, but I think I can make it work right there. Now that we figured out the wiring, I'm gonna see if the cover fits. Then I'll just leave it this way. The least amount of fittings I put in there, the less likely I have a leak. I have a filter in here. So that's all set. Let's see, what else did we do? I did connect these pieces back in there for the intake. And I'm figuring out the transmission cooler. So I was able to shave the end of here to put the hose on both lines. And this is a cooler that a buddy of mine sold very inexpensive. He almost gave it to me away. It's a Permacool, really good transmission cooler with the fan. I did get some 6AN to barb adapters so I can do the hose right there. I did cut some metal. I'm just waiting because it's kind of hot. I think I'm gonna put those here. They have an angle, and then that's gonna mount to this metal piece that holds your hood latch. So on that side, and then this side, I think I'm just, once I get that figured out, I might just do another one, like an elbow, to attach it here to the back. Or at least just one on the bottom. I mean, 3 points should be good enough. And then one of these is gonna go up here to the top. The other one, I'm probably gonna drill a little hole here where the other line goes on the bottom, because the radiator is gonna be pretty close here. So I do have to make it here on the side. So that's the progress so far. Doesn't seem like a lot, but just things take a little bit of time. This intake was from Amazon. It was not expensive, I think like $90, but we did have to cut the end of it.
Like an inch.
Now, if you have a Mustang GT, which is what I ordered for, it probably will fit just fine. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying for our fitting, we did have to modify it so it would fit better, I guess. But it looks pretty good as of now. It did come with a shroud, which is somewhere over there.
What's meant for the driver's side, though?
It's meant for a driver's side. It's meant for a Mustang. I don't know if we might use it maybe just to kind of hold the filter there. I mean, it is kind of held right there. Or we might just put like a little tab on the filter. We could probably use that shield, cut it, just to mount it here. Like maybe on the back side, just like a little shield, but just to hold it, just so it doesn't bounce. But anyway, so we're gonna mount master flow sensor, finish. I think I'm gonna go underneath. If I do go underneath, I'm just gonna tie this one up that I'm not gonna use. put it underneath, and then I'm gonna start zip tying the rest of the harness and just kind of tighten it up a little bit. Then we'll get to the variable valve timing harness, run that, and then we can start connecting everything inside of there. All right, so a little bit of update. Went ahead and mounted the transmission cooler. Made a bracket here on the bottom, mounted it to the frame, and then mounted the other one here to this centerpiece. So this is really secure on there. I did put the little piece of hose there. I may put, I will put a piece of rubber here, and I drilled a hole down here, which I will put a grommet later on because I still need to figure out the radiator, where it's gonna end up. But these are pretty much where they will be as far as the location anyway. So we went ahead and run the wire for the mass airflow sensor here underneath the intake together with this other one. So it's on there. And then went ahead and just put this little loops here on the cam cover for this one that goes to the oil pressure sensor. And once I get the alternator here, then I'll for sure 100% figure that one out. The cover is gonna cover everything here. We already tried it. I went ahead and put these little noise pieces, I think noise reduction pieces, and the sensor. I do still need to tighten these up, but I'll finish that tomorrow once I get the other connector here, or I'll go get a new plug, one of the two. Once I put fuel pressure, I will know if that's gonna leak, but for sure right now I need at least a new clip. So everything is zip tied, kind of tidied up. Everything back here, I mean, it's not too bad. So at this point, we are ready to get the variable valve timing harness, plug it in, run that a little bit separate. Oh, and then also Junior put this gasket that came for the intake shroud around this hole here so that it's not a sharp edge. So that's it. So variable valve timing harness, and then we're gonna move inside to start mounting that computer.
All right, so another update. As you can see, we flipped the intake to this side because that's more than likely where it's gonna live. Obviously, we can still shorten the tube a little bit for clearance on the cap, or we can just take off the filter if we ever need to fill coolant on it. The radiator is kind of just sitting here for now. The reason why we flipped it over to that side is because the hose is right here on the filter, so that wasn't gonna work. We did not think about that when we did that. This was the original plan anyways, so at that point, we can shrink it a little bit. This isn't final yet, but at least it's in there. Like Alex said earlier, the VVT is plugged in, front, back, both sides. And essentially everything here, Holly-wise, is done. Other than that fitting that he said we're missing, which should get here tomorrow. So next video, that hopefully should be done. And Alex is actually in here right now. We cut that piece of wood, so that's where he mounted that.
Yep, so I went ahead and mounted everything here to piece of wood. I am gonna wrap this in like leather eventually. I mounted the Terminator X this way, that way, because it has little lights here on the side. That way I can look at them easier. I think this gives you kind of the status of things. Same with the variable valve timing controller here. But this kind of, making it look a little bit nicer. So all the wires come in here plugged in. I just have the power wire to connect. That's going to the back. This is for the variable valve timing, which also connects to the power that comes over here. This is a little bit crazy right now, but a lot of these are plugs that aren't going to be used, and they're just kind of going to be sitting here. Like this one. Let's see, it says UART. I have no idea what that is. I'll have to read the instructions. It is plugged, so it's not just open. It has a wire or a weatherproof connector. And honestly, as much rust as is on this car here, it's probably going to see more water here than the engine bay, unfortunately, if I take it out in the rain. So Like this one says tap. I have no idea what that is going to be for. Let's see, this one says output, so that might be for fuel pump, things like that. I have to read what all these wires are for. So like some of those aren't connected all the way, but I did hook up this little looms on top. And I'll, you know, once I find out all these, what they're for, I mean, I'll kind of tie them together, zip tie them. But as of now, kind of all the connections here, these are the coil drivers. They're mounted on here solidly. Transmission connector here. So making good progress. As of now, really, all I have left is the power cable. Like I said, then this just has to be plugged in there.
On the gas pedal.
Gas pedal is already plugged in. Actually, the harness going, I do need to wire a brake light switch down there, which I don't know if it has one, but if not, I'll have to get one. And then finish wiring the fuel pump. And my thinking is one of those, I know the Holley Controls has like a control for a fuel pump, so I don't know if it's one of those outputs or maybe one of those wires that's there on that zip tie. And I'm gonna run it all the way back here with this power cable, because so the Holley is gonna be hooked up directly to the battery back here. This is the fuel pump connector, and this is the other pigtail. And I am gonna do a relay back here, so it's gonna go from the battery and the negative to the relay, which I'll probably mount somewhere in here. And then the Holley, it's gonna power on that relay. That way it's not powering on the fuel pump directly. And so just a couple more things to wire out. But anyway, so far that's the progress I made. So like Junior said, we did get everything pretty situated over here. So variable valve timing is all connected, run where it's gonna run. All the wires are nicely zip tied over here. So there's you know, everything looks good. Like I said, we're waiting in the fuel plug, and then oh, you're on top of one of the wires. Everything fits good. So not really much wiring. There's a little bit here on the back, but really you can't tell. So, and then that intake we'll figure out once I get, my friend's gonna help me weld the aluminum radiator little brackets here, so I can actually mount it, and we can decide if it's gonna go that way, this way, or we can drill a hole on the hood, make it point up like roadkill style there. I don't know. You know what? It would be cool if we pointed down like the Corvettes, you know. Anyways, that's the progress so far. So that's pretty much gonna be it for today. You know, running out of time. It's another full day, but we did get a lot done with the wiring. It's just meticulous work. It takes time to figure out where does it go, where does it look better, make sure it looks decent, not just thrown there. I do want to eventually redo the harnesses to take away some of those plugs I'm not going to be using, but that's just going to be later on. And so I think when I do the firewall and repair all that rust here, that's when I'll dive deep into all those harnesses, because as of now I'm not going to take them off again. So that's pretty much it. So stay tuned for our next video. Hopefully the next video we can get this fired up and started for the first time. Any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.